Hello, this is the hints video for the analysis questions on activity 3 for analyzing pollen data. All right, so this is the assignment that you're working on right here. All right, please watch the video. What plants are common. So what you need is you need your pollen data in front of you, you need your graphs in front of you, and then you'll need to click on this link right here, which will bring up this data right here. All right, and then from that we should be able to answer some questions. So make sure you have those things in front of you. All right, now I'm not going to have the graphs in front of me, so I'm just going to kind of generally describe some things. So first question, what plants were most common in the oldest soil sample 24,000 years ago? So you should have the pie graph of 24,000 years ago that you made in the previous activity, and just tell me what is the most abundant plant in that time zone. Then you go down to the next one. What plant was most common in the most recent soil sample? So you go to your pie graph of 4,000 years ago, and you tell me what is the most common plant in that sample. And they should be different plants because the climate did change. Then next, in this question, list two changes that occurred in the grassland plants between 24,000 years ago and 7,000. So you go to your plant data and you look at the difference. Okay, is there any difference in the plants 24,000 years ago? What was the most prominent plant 24,000 years ago according to your data? And was that plant still prominent 7,000 years ago? Or was there a difference? Did they change around? And there was. So you better tell me what plant increased and what plant decreased. That's what we're looking for. There's an increase in one plant and a decrease in another. So you can do that same thing based on the data. How has your climate changed from 24,000 years ago to 7,000 years ago? So what we have to do is look at the data. So if I remember right, junipers and greasewood were very common about 24,000 years ago. And goldfields not so much. And then at 4,000 years ago, the goldfields had really taken off and the greasewood and junipers had diminished. Right, so at 7,000 years ago, that's where they're asking us to look, what is the difference or what has changed? Right, so that change started being seen around 7,000 years ago. And if you look at the climates, Mediterranean climate is what goldfields really like. All right, and juniper and greasewood really like desert climates, cold, dry winters, hot summers. All right, so what has happened? Well, maybe 24,000 years ago, this was the climate. Cold, dry winters, hot, dry summers. So cold in the winter, but dry, hot in the summers, and still dry, versus Mediterranean climate, which is cool, wet winters and warm, dry summers. So it looks like it got a little bit wetter and maybe a little bit warmer between 24,000 years ago and 7,000 years ago. And because of that, these plants could not survive. They didn't like that climate and they died off. And these guys liked it even more. They could survive in a dry climate, but they really liked extra moisture and they just took off because these guys weren't competing with them and the climate fit them more. And you would mention how the climate has changed. You mentioned how the climate has changed. Do you think the climate change in this area was long-term or short-term? So again, you're going to tell me, is this a long-term effect or a short-term effect? And again, look at the years, 24,000 to 7,000. All right, is that long or short? And then you're explain why. Because you can have different answers, but your explanation is what I'm looking for.